good night. Hello, folks. Stevie Coyle here, webcasting on Facebook, live from bucolic Lafayette, California. Nice to see you. Thanks for stopping in. It's been a while.
Looks like quite the same, and before it,
Are we back?
well, it might be back.
Oh, hello, folks. Hard to tell. We're going to check and see if this is actually working. It's been a while since we've done a Facebook Live webcast here from Mighty Fine Guitars in bucolic Lafayette, California. Thanks for tuning in. Let's see here. Where the heck are we? Oh, that might be it right there, huh? Just want to make sure we're rolling. Looks like we might be. All right. Well, let's press on and pretend that nothing ever happened there. All right. I'm going to share this over to the Mighty Fine Guitars page here. There it is. All right. All right. Thanks so much. Been a while since we've done one of these because I have been sick in various ways. Please feel sorry for me. In various ways since Thanksgiving. It's ridiculous. I've been hacking like a coal miner, and I didn't think you'd probably want to listen to that. So it'll be much less hacking today. Just a little guitar playing. Let me know if you can hear everything okay. Once again, it's been a while since we've done this. We're winging it. Okay, good. Seems like. And a hand, please, for Mistress of the Machines, Miss Valerie May. Doerr, personing all the machines. And only I need to know what happened behind the camera right then. Starting off with a new builder out of Oakland, California, right next door here on the other side of the hills. This is, he builds guitars, he calls his guitars Queen City guitars, because that's what Oakland was known as, was the Queen City. And this is a lovely thing, made out of laurel wood, California laurel wood. There's more than two kinds of wood that sound really good on the backs and sides of a guitar. There's typically, you find mahogany and rosewood. But there's all kinds of other woods out there. They're perfectly usable and sound really cool and have really distinctive sorts of sounds. Laurel wood is, I think, certainly more on the mahogany end of the sonic spectrum than rosewood. Not a ton in terms of huge overtones or anything, but great fundamentals. It's kind of got a Nick Lucas sort of approach to things with a thicker body, sort of like Gibson did with the L bodies back in the 20s and 30s. And this is a nice spruce top, a Sitka spruce top. And what a cool, comfy guitar to play. Very stylish. Got some slightly stylish appointments on the fingerboard here. And a volute on the neck that keeps things nice and strong. It's really cool. All right. Are you feeding back there? Am I hearing a little feedback? Yeah. Careful with just the phone being there, the thing. And I hope it's not me. If you got any questions, comments, shout them right out. Type them right in. And Doerr, Mistress of the Machines, will pass them along. We'll get all your questions answered. Fun guitar to play. Queen City guitars, and in this shop, very moderately priced at $32.50. Feels a little bit classic. Oh, we have a question and a comment? Fire away.
I would like you to play a waltz.
A waltz. And who is that?
Eric Sky.
Eric Sky. Oh, Eric Sky, you sweetheart. I know the waltz you want to hear, and I'll play it for you in just a second. Stay tuned. Peter Tucker wants what? Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a great guitar tune. Happy birthday, Peter Tucker. Everybody wish happy birthday to Peter Tucker. Hooray, Peter. America's favorite drummer, right there. Or necklace banjo player, as we like to call the drums sometimes. Sound is okay, not overdriving, not too soft. Everything's okay? Just right. Very good, Goldilocks. Thank you. Well, that's a Queen City guitar right there. I'm going to move on, and maybe I'll play a little bit of that waltz for Eric Skye, who's a fantastic guitarist himself. Folks, if you're not hip to Eric Skye, don't ruin your life any further by not getting familiar with him. I'm quite sure you'd find it. Eric Skye, S-K-Y-E, out of the Pacific Northwest, wonderful player, is coming out with a new album, if memory serves. A great fingerstyle player. He's got his own model guitar with the Santa Cruz Guitar Company. And a fine, fine fella. Just a terrific guy. He owes me $20, but he's all right. We'll get that all worked out. Don't worry. And this one is a Washburn from the turn of the previous century. And let me get this tuned up real quick. This is the one I didn't get to, but because I don't love it deeply. For whatever reason, at the moment, folks, I'm just loaded up with guitars in here. It's astonishing. Every stand, every spot on the wall, a bunch of guitars in cases, some of them still even in the case closet, just because there's no room for them. Apologies to those of you that have perfect pitch. Luckily, as a guitarist, I do not. Good relative pitch, but...
Ed Holmes says,
Oh, very good. Kotke or else? Oh, man. Speaking of people who owe people $20, sorry, Ed, it's on the way. Carrier pigeon, expect it any moment. Oh, what a fabulous guitar. 1900, a Washburn in beautiful spruce top, red spruce top, and Brazilian rosewood back and sides. That's pornographic. That's... Well, with lighting this good, it's not porn, it's erotica, is what it is. And a mahogany neck, beautifully bound fingerboard, and about a 00 size. Wonderful, wonderful guitar. This is when a Washburn was a Washburn. Washburn has been taken over, and then the name been used by lots of not Washburnish companies. Can the camera see this, Ducky? Can you get in close and see? Or maybe I'll hold the guitar up close. Take a look at these tuning pegs. Can you see them in the picture? Have I got them in a good spot there? Can you kind of see them? All inlaid. Very distracting. But I'll try and get back to playing, actually. Just kind of got to tripping on the... This guitar is just alive, really built light and thin. The top is hugely resonant. Back and sides, there is something. I hate to say it, there really is something to the sound of Brazilian rosewood. I thought it was all faux science before I played a whole bunch of guitars, but in the past, 30 or 40 years, there really is something to it. It's not for everybody. It's hugely resonant. It's almost like... I imagine the analogy would be riding a thoroughbred, where it's all right there and just wants to run full tilt all the time. And this is one of those where you can play back from what's there natively. It's a great feeling. My Guitar at Home by Alan Perlman, thank you for asking, is a Brazilian rosewood guitar, and it has that same feeling. Where instead of playing kind of full out, you can pull back and be more restrained and still get enormous, quick, full response off the top. If I were going to go down the rabbit hole and start buying guitars out of my own shop, and I'm not, this would be way up there. This is a Stevie guitar right here. Small body, 00 size. This is very much like the Perlman that I have. A lot of the same vibe. That's for you, Eric Sky. Oh, thanks very much. Thanks. That's a little tune I wrote called Rue de Romy, and recorded that with Philip Auberg. Totally cool guy, Phil Auberg, from Windham Hill days. Perhaps you know him, and he's been in a lot of, it wasn't just Windham Hill days. He's since done all kinds of movies and films and played with symphonies. I met him at this very strange and cool festival in Kansas, where the Kansas Symphony was premiering a symphony written by Phil Auberg, who played Squeezebox on that with me, a little concertina. And I met him there. He liked what the Waybacks were up to, and he asked if he could play with us. So he said, well, yeah, what do you want to play some piano? And he said, no, grand piano. Heck with that. I'm going to play accordion. So he got up and he played with us on Compadres and the Old Sierra Madre. It sounded fantastic. And I asked him afterwards, I said, if we ever needed you to record with us, would you be willing to do that? And he said, absolutely. So once Walter Strauss, who produced my record 10 and 1, and I got through recording my part on here, I thought, holy smokes, I wonder if Phil would still be up for that. Called him at 8:30 in the morning. At 9 o'clock, he had the files that he needed at his home studio. He recorded his bits, had them back to us by 10 o'clock. We said, can we have a little change here and a little change there? Made 2 little changes. The whole thing was done in the space of 2 hours, and it turned out real good. So if you've got absolutely nothing better to do, next time you're out on YouTube, or as they say in Chicago, YouTube, stop in at, look for Rue de Romy, R-U-E-D-U-R-O-M-I-E, which I think is probably horrible French grammar or syntax, but that's the name of the tune. Just put in Coil and Rue, R-U-E, and you'll probably come up with it. And you got to hear what Phil did on that. His little accordion, his little musette, takes you right to the left bank. It's quite fantastic. Well, pressing on. This is a Washburn from right around 1900, and it's in spectacular shape. It really is. It's been rode hard and put up wet a couple of times, but that's just what you want in a guitar like this. It's got a bit of a V neck on it, that sort of vintage neck, but not too clubby. It's not too kind of big around. It doesn't feel like a baseball bat in your hand, or the fat end of a baseball bat in your hand, the way some guitars can. Wonderful. Washburn. Pressing on to another vintage guitar. I was thrilled when this came in because I had seen this kind of guitar. In fact, I think it's the same year. Sting, our buddy Gordon, plays this little thing which weighs nothing. This has been sprayed with anti-grav. It's fantastic. It's a Martin, but built for the Ditson company back in 1919, and it's a size 1. The Ditson guitars, I'll play another Ditson for you in a minute. The guitars made for Ditson had a different body configuration. They had this much more stretched out sort of El Greco kind of look than the standard Martin guitars. And this, check out Sting playing any number of places on YouTube, and he's playing one of these, a little Ditson from the tweens, and astonishing sound. People talk about, I don't, a lot of folks come in here, a lot of guys in particular, say, I don't fit around the old dreadnought that I played in college and high school anymore. You got anything smaller? I want a couch cuddler. I want a sofa sweetheart. And sure enough, this is kind of the ultimate one of those. Astonishing sound from a little teeny guitar. That's for you, Bish. Amazing little guitar. Weighs literally nothing and is from 1919. This is the Martin Ditson size 1. Now pressing on in the Ditson realm for another Ditson style guitar. This one is made by Martin again in the Ditson style, but this is a new guitar and it's immense. And the complete other end of the guitar size spectrum. This is a Ditson D18 essentially, mahogany back and sides. This is special mahogany. This is sinker mahogany. This has been underwater for decades. And what that does is it strips, among other things, it strips the oils out of the wood and kind of tends to replace them with mineral salts out of the water. Even fresh water will deposit minerals. And it does something to wood, that when it's dried out, it's more dense, it's more resonant. So this is sinker mahogany, and very pretty. Especially here, I always like looking at this part of the guitar to see what the guitarist gets to look at. And you've got that lovely bit of woodiness there to look at on this guitar. It's a 12 fret slot head. 12 frets guitars. We're really nerding out today, kids. A lot of guitar geekery going on, but here we go. When you have a 12 fret guitar, what it does is it tends to push the bridge back into the middle of the lower bout where most of the sound is generated. The analogy that somebody pointed out to me, I think it was a drummer, Peter, pointed out to me that if you tap a drum in the middle of the drum, you hear the full sound of the drum. That, of course, gives you all of the resonant frequencies if you tap right in the middle of the drum head, which is kind of what's happening here. You're activating the center of this big round lower bout down here. On a 14 fret guitar, where the guitar would kind of stop right about here, what that does is it pulls the bridge up closer to the sound hole and away from the center of the lower bout. So it'd be like tapping sort of at the edge of a drum head, and you'd still hear some. You wouldn't get the full boom, you wouldn't get the full articulation. You'd get something that involved more clang tone, sort of non-musical information off there at the side of the drum head. And this is astonishing. The volume and the size of this. I feel like Kilroy sitting behind this with my nose hanging over. Have you met Lydia? Lydia the tattooed lady. She has eyes that men adore so, and a torso even more so, etc. Thank you, Groucho. Astonishing huge guitar. For bluegrass, perhaps, it would certainly stand up to a banjo. This is what you would call a banjo killer. But it's not the typical kind of dreadnought configuration where it's 14 frets, you have much less guitar from here to there, and it comes in at the 14th fret instead of the 12th fret. But the trade-offs for being able to do fingerstyle with really great articulation amongst the notes instead of saturation. 14 fret guitars tend to saturate more, 12 fret guitars tend to articulate more. It's a total overstatement, but it's true. Tons of power. Kind of a closed C neck feel, a bit of a baseball bat, but lovely and very stable, with again a volute here to protect this very delicate portion of the guitar. This little bit that sticks out here is carved into the wood, and that's to help protect against breakage that happens. You know, in the olden days, when a person used to be able to put a guitar through luggage at an airport and leave the case locked, people would be utterly mystified at why all of a sudden, when they opened their guitar on the other end, the neck had been broken. And it's because the guitar had whiplashed inside the case because they didn't immobilize the headstock. That's what these volutes do, is really help with that sort of thing. Well, yes, a question in the back.
Ian Bagger would like to know, how does it do when you go all Pete Townsend on it?
Why, funny you should ask. Let's find out. That will require one of these. Some strange pieces of plastic here. If this is overdriving the microphone, let me know. I can move into the next room, perhaps. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, man. Ian's my buddy. Oh, Ian, it doesn't sound very good when you do that. Holy smokes, fantastic. Smokes. It's got all the other guitars in here just going. Well, I'll get back to you later. Fantastic thing. That's the Martin Ditson D18. So that's right out of the custom shop. Yeah, rock and roll. That's right out of the custom shop. And that's not one of the ones the machines have had their hands on, spinning around with big suction cups. That's kind of what you picture at Martin. You know, old dudes with beards and leather aprons kind of squinting over their benches. That's where that guitar came from. Pressing on, because we must, there's next up a couple of custom guitars, and I'll finish up with these. A gentleman brought these in. This is a very unusual guitar in a couple of different ways. Tom Doerr only builds a few guitars because he sells them faster than he can build them. And he's moved on to building guitars that are all Brazilian rosewood and spruce-topped guitars. I had a Doerr in here a while ago, fantastic thing, and there was a bidding war went on, and the best man won, I suppose. This is Ziricote back and sides, and a redwood top, and it's got this body bevel that goes all the way around. You know, a lot of folks are beveling guitars up here on this side of the lower bout so that it fits into your arm real nicely and leans right into you. It makes that, if anybody has sort of any elbow impingements or problems with the nerves inside there, it can be really irritated by the sharp edge of a guitar. This is all nice and smooth and lovely, but the bevel rather, continues all the way around the body. Quite remarkable. And a redwood top, like I say, Ziricote back and sides. This beautiful landscaping, they call it again. This part of the guitar is always of interest to me because that's what I get to look at. And it's not nearly sort of the high end. The high end on this is kind of attenuated. It's redwood top does that, but the sweetness and what people characterize as warmth, the most dangerous term in guitar chatter. Everybody likes warmth. To some people it means the high end, the warmness, the heat. To other people it means the warm, not hot. And that's kind of where I live. This has got warmth to it, but it doesn't have the sparkle of the other spruce top guitars, which is fine. It doesn't need to sparkle all the time. The way the overtones stack up is really seductive. It's really lovely and different. So if you've got a spruce guitar and you really want to buy another guitar, you always wondered, what else can I get? I've got a great guitar. You may not have a redwood topped guitar, which does that instead. Let's see. Fantastic thing. Oh, I have the best job in the world. I sit here in my shop and I dust the guitars and I tune them and I change the strings and I answer email, and people walk in with these fabulous things for me to sell for them. So please, folks, take this off my hands before I do something desperate. Tom Doerr, this one is selling for $7,900 and worth every last cent of that. Quite spectacular. And there's one more. Yes, thank you very much, Barbara. Thank you. Great. All right, let me hand you that. Just lean it right up against there. Thank you, dear. This is by a South African builder called Mark Maingard. And I had one other Maingard come through the shop. It got snapped up real quick. He's really something. He's one of these kind of legendary guitarists. I don't know if I met him at Healdsburg or not. I may have. I met a lot of these builders at Healdsburg. And the closest I could get after playing their guitars to an estimation of the guitars, was, boy, this guitar feels like it sounds good because it was so noisy at Healdsburg, but perfect. You could take the guitars out to the courtyard and listen to them and do some things that way. But there were a lot of guitars that I just sort of thought, I'm going to, just kind of play this in the hall here and see what can happen. How about that? A question in back.
Oh, just mind the glare.
Oh, the glare. Yeah, thank you. Good. Is that a good angle to see what's going on here? Brazilian rosewood. Again, astonishing. And I think this is I'm guessing this is a Carpathian top, but who knows? With remarkable inlay around here, and a fantastic sound. A cutaway as well for those of you that play the meedly notes up here. I always thought the cutaway was for putting your pint glass there, but it's not tall enough for a pint. this as well. It's fairly thin, fairly flat, really teeny frets. Even though the guitar really makes a strong visual statement, even from a distance, you get up close, and some of the little details on the thing are just remarkably lovely. A little thin red stripe going along underneath the fingerboard here, really difficult to do. He's not making a big point about that. He's saying, yeah, I can do that, sure. Mark Maingard. And again, a different type of volute here to support the headstock. And fabulous, these are some of those fabulous German tuners that I've forgotten the name of. Aren't they? Why, they're called Maingard. He's got his own tuners on here. Holy smokes. Full service. Remarkable guitar. $8,300 is the asking on this one. What else? Oh, I know what else I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you a device for those of you that are players that either play out or play amplified in your own homes. Here's the hot ticket these days. This is the ToneDexter. I've spoken about this before. I'm more sold on it than ever. I just sold 2 of these to Emmylou Harris. Thank you very much. I don't mind name dropping. She's got a couple of these. What they do is, here's the deal. You know how the sound of your pickup sounds like a pickup rather than your guitar for the most part, because it's only listening to a little tiny strip, probably directly under the bridge or under the bridge plate. What this device does is you plug your pickup into it, and you plug a microphone into it. Ideally, a small cardioid, a small diaphragm rather, cardioid mic. And you play for 2 minutes. It listens, and it says, "Oh, that's the sound of your pickup." And that's what your guitar really sounds like. That's the microphone sound. Next time you plug in your pickup through me, I will make your guitar sound like the microphone, even though you're coming in with a pickup. It's fantastic. It really works. And what the great benefits here are, of course, you get to sound like the fabulous guitar that you bought. That sound will be coming out of the speakers instead of the generic sound of a pickup going through whatever preamp system you can employ to kind of clean up the sound and make it sound better. This lets you sound like the microphone as you're coming through. Yes, a question in the back.
About the guitars, is that a breed-love guitar?
Oh, the last one I played? No. The last one was a Mark Maingard. That's the, you may have thought it was a breed-love just because it's so radical looking. Was it this one? That's Mark Maingard. The one before that, with the body bevel, is Tom Doerr, D-O-E-R-R. Get back to you in a second. Yeah, here, let me flash that one too. There we go. Thank you so much. There we go. I got it. And that's the Tom Doerr. And before that, the real big loud one was Martin.
Okay, and also that little Washburn X-braced?
It is X-braced, yes. Good point. It's not ladder braced. That's why it sounded so good. Oh, thank you for mentioning that. Was that Tony Marcus mentioned that? I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, Richard Montoya. Yes, Richard. It is. It is X-braced, and that's why it sounds so great. I should have mentioned that, of course. A lot of Washburns from the era. Thank you, Barbara. Did you get cut on a string there? No. We didn't catch you with a string? Okay, good. A lot of Washburns from the era were ladder braced, which is to say the bracing to support the top just went straight across, and it had that kind of lots of fundamental, not much in the way of overtones, because the top wasn't really vibrating that much. Structural concerns outweighed kind of sonic concerns by far. Is that a real bird? Or is that a ringtone? Amazing. Yeah, so this is why this one sounded this way, Richard. Good gravy. That's nuts. Out of a little guitar that's 118 years old? Yeah, you bet. $5,500 for that baby right there. Yes, another question.
Ian Bagger wants to know, is the Martin Ditson model a reissue or the original article?
The little Ditson is the original article. The big one that I played, I did my best Pete on, that's a new guitar. That's a reissue. That's, I think, a 2014. I think that's just a few years old. But absolutely no mileage on that one. This one's got tons of mileage, and the little one, of course, has been played. Somebody played it well for a long time. Yes, another question.
Nut width on the Washburn?
On the Washburn, this is pretty wide. It's pretty wide. It's I haven't measured it yet, but it's on the wide. It's at least 1 3/4, and it may be more, maybe 1 7/8. It's preposterous. Why, yes.
The name of the item, the device?
Oh, the device. I didn't get to that, did I? Thank you for all these questions, folks. The device is called the ToneDexter. You can Google that up, ToneDexter, by a company called Audio Sprockets. The inventor of the software, the guy that did all the mathematics that goes into this, is a pal of mine and a student here at Mighty Fine Guitars, a great fellow named Andy. And Andy has done a couple of demos. You can see him demoing this. In fact, he demoed it here in the shop a couple of times. If you want to really scroll back through tons of old videos, I'm sure you can find a video of me and Andy talking about the ToneDexter. But this is $400. And again, what you do is you plug your pickup in there, you plug a microphone in back here, you play for 2 minutes, it listens to both signals, it says, oh, there's the signal, there's the really great signal, I'll make the signal sound like the great signal every time you plug in through this box. It has a few little adjustments on it as well for tone. There's bass control, treble control. You can add as much body resonance in as you want. You can peel it out as much as you want. There's a notch filter in case you run across feedback. But chances are you're not going to run across feedback because you're going to get microphone tone without having a live mic on stage to pick up ambient sound bouncing all around and causing feedback. There's input and output levels. You can choose. The great thing is this isn't just for guitar. This is for every stringed instrument, acoustic stringed instrument, except bass. You'd have to make some adjustments for bass. But for mandolin, banjo, fiddle, all sound great. Alison Krauss's band is all ToneDextered up. All kinds of bands in Nashville are using this nowadays, and they're sounding great on stage. I heard a bunch of these at Hardly Strictly Bluegrass last October, and looked on stage, and all these little red boxes glowing there on the floor, and that explained the great sound and the lack of microphones in front of the instruments. Wonderful boxes. Give me a shout if you need one of these, because I got a few left, and I can get more. Great thing about this, too, is this little slot on the side is for a little SD card. And you get updates. Whenever they update the software, the firmware, you can just download it onto your computer, run it off onto an empty SD card, plug the SD card in here, and fire up this unit. It'll say, oh, wait, before I fire up, I see there's new information to be had. Let me go get it. And there are improvements being made to this system. It's fantastic as is, but it just gets better and better. There was one improvement that happened when they shifted over from a bigger box than this that was much more expensive to this box. And that increased the resolution, as it were, the sonic resolution. It doubled it just overnight, and it was fantastic to begin with. Now it's just virtually indistinguishable. John Jorgensen, great Django player, is also a great Telecaster player, is using these to re-amplify signals from albums he's done years and years ago. And, oops, no, too busy, thank you. And to amplify signals that he had on tape from years and years ago, but he didn't like the sound of it because it was that hard kind of quacky, honky, barnyard sounding acoustic guitar sound because he was using a piezo style pickup. So he's got that on a separate channel, the way they recorded. They did a multi-track recording. He's gone back now and run that signal through one of these and his very best Selmer Django style guitar. And all of a sudden, he can release all of this great live material that he's had out there, but he just hasn't been pleased with the sound of, because all of a sudden it sounds like his guitar. And there it is. It's also a boost box. You can set up, you can kick this pedal, this little button over here, and boost your signal in case it's time for you to take a lead on stage. You can kick it up by as much as you want. There's an effects loop available here. You can run this out to an amplifier and the house at the same time, or an amplifier and a monitor for you. Tons of flexibility, and $400. It's fantastic. $399 to you, $399. And I think that's, barring any other questions or comments. All right. Well, thanks very much for tuning in, folks. I realize it's been a while, but I'm going to try and get back on the Friday noontime webcast bus and broadcast to webcast more frequently. Friday at noontimes here from Mighty Fine Guitars in Lafayette, California. Thank you very much, Valerie May. Thank you very much, Barbara Finn. I'll see you down the road. Thanks, folks.